Hello and welcome to the Story Behind the Stories, your weekly look at the pages of the Neepawa Banner Press. Thank you very much for taking a little bit of your time and spending it here with us on NACTV. I'm Eoin Devereux with the Banner Press, welcoming you to this week's edition of the program, joined this week as well by fellow journalist Joshua Jackson. Joshua, good to have you here this week.
I'm glad to be here. Second week in a row being here, so I haven't been kicked off. And I'm quite enjoying my little spot to talk about Neepawa news with all of you.
Well, unfortunately as well, you've got lots to talk about this week, but we're going to get to that in just a few more minutes. Let's start, of course, with the visual aspect of our newspaper, the front page, some beautiful garden-affiliated sort of pictures that we've got for you, not just on the front page as well, but also part of our special section, Home and Garden. It's around that time of year where you really start thinking about what do you want to do with your garden, what you want to do with your lawn, and you maybe don't have those ideas specifically. That's why it's important for you to go down to one of the many home and garden centers that we have within Neepawa and the surrounding area, because they're probably going to be able to give you a pretty good idea of what's going to work for you, or maybe you'll be inspired in some way, shape, or form. Joshua, let me ask you, do you got a green thumb in any way, shape, or form? Or now that you're back in the country, as it were, do you have any thoughts of sort of getting into it?
Oh, it's funny that you mentioned that, because I was just going to bring it up. I had the pleasure, as you can see in the home and garden section, of going around to a lot of these local greenhouses and nurseries and taking some photos. And I was talking with my grandparents last night, and I said, you know what, I've been out, and this is the year. I'm going to do a little flower garden. So we're going to start small. We're going to tease our way up. I've always loved flowers. I've always loved plants. So you know what? Now that I'm back home, we have some beautiful greenhouses and some amazing flowers that they had there. This year's my year. I'm gonna grow a little flower garden, and hopefully sometime in the summer, I'll be back on to share some progress pictures when I actually have built my garden.
That's right. And again, myself, historically, I've never been big on the flowers. I'm not that garden guy. The person I live with, she does a whole thing with the garden and all those types of things. Me, I'm just focused on the lawn. And that's the fortunate thing as well, even though it's the home and garden type thing. Some lawn care advice and a little bit of lawn care information is part of that as well, to be able to assist you in sort of making the most of your landscape type thing. So always remember that for the month of May, throughout May, we've got our special home and garden feature. If you have any ideas or any suggestions, this is probably the place where you might find that inspiration heading into the summer. And hopefully, as we head into summer, once you've planted your garden, once you've planted your flowers, once you've manicured your lawn, maybe, God willing, we're going to get some rain to actually help fill all out. We haven't had that just yet. Fingers crossed. But because we have been so dry, not official, we can't say per se, but near drought condition, in my opinion. That's why there has been several burn bans issued throughout the region. And Joshua, you've got the details in regards to that.
Yeah, of course. So sometime last week, the town of Neepawa issued a burn ban. It was put in place as a precautionary measure to reduce the risk of human-caused fires, protect property and lives, as well as preserving their ecosystems. Now, you might wonder what is included under a burn ban, and well, let me tell you here. So, in Neepawa, the fire ban has no open-air fires of any kind, which applies to all backyard fire pits in parks and the campground, as well as solid burning fuel appliances, including charcoal and wood burning barbecues. They do advise, though, you can in fact use a propane grill, as it is a contained unit and does not emit sparks or embers. Now, I'd like to touch on something that we didn't include in the papers. So, if you come into Neepawa, you might have seen at the Riverbend Park where it has been burned, and they were doing a controlled burn. So, you may be wondering, why did they get to do it? Why was that burned? Well, I was talking.
Well, I think the whole controlled thing is probably a big part of that.
No, you're not wrong. I did not say that well, but yes, it was a controlled burn, and I was talking to the town CAO, Colleen Sinchishin, and she told me that firefighters are in fact allowed to burn as they're doing it as a preventative measures, and of course, when they are firefighters, and they do kind of have fire trucks, something that I don't think the public has. So
they do have the best stuff.
They do have the best stuff, so that's why they're allowed to do it. Now, this just isn't a Neepawa thing, however. There are burn bans all around the region, and since publication, it's just kept on growing and growing. We've seen a lot of wildfires out happening. I know there's a big one in around the Ocean Neepawa region. There was a big one in St. Ambrose last night. Not that these are in our catchment areas, but it is still happening as well. There was a pretty big one a few days ago around the Rivers Kemney area. So some of the other places that do have burn bans include the municipality of Glenelg Lansdowne, the RM of Rosedale, the municipality of Westlake Gladstone, the RM of Alonza, the RM of Cornwallis, as well as the town of Carberry and the municipality of the North Cyprus Langford and the municipality of Glenborough South Cyprus. So maybe you're thinking, I want to have a fire. It's the perfect mood. I've wanted to do that so long, but please just make sure that you go check online or with your local municipality or town, because the last thing we need is another big fire to get out of control.
That's right. It is very important, especially this time of year, to be mindful of these types of situations. We are in a very dry circumstance right now, and we are always of the circumstance of we think can happen to me. I know what I'm doing. I'll keep it under control. That's not the right mindset to have, because it can happen to you. It can get out of control, and these are things that are put in place for a very specific reason. So we hope that you'll get a chance to read through it, learn a little bit more about it, and we will continue to keep you up to speed on that as this continues to move forward.
Oh, of course. And Eoin, I would just like to add, what happens if, say, someone does have a little fire and it does get a little out of control? Well, in the instance that a person's actions cause a fire, the person can actually be held liable by the town for the recovery of all emergency response service costs incurred by the fire department, and can also be held liable to damage for any property. So we just advise you, think fire smart, don't be burning stuff. I know it's beautiful weather, but until we get some rain and that burn ban is lifted, it's just not worth the risk.
All right, let's shift our attention to a couple events that are going to be coming up in the near future, some of which we have talked about in previous editions of the Neepawa Banner Press, and ones that we will likely talk about in future editions as well. Casper Werhan has a story that you can find on page 2 of this week's edition of the newspaper about the Kalina Green Memorial fundraiser that is going to be going on for its 3rd year. That, of course, is occurring down in Carberry. Carberry, of course, is part of our readership distribution area of the Banner Press. We go out to over 7,000 papers, go out to over 30 different communities throughout Western Manitoba. Carberry is one, and we are very glad they continue to be a consistent supporter of the newspaper, because we are a consistent supporter of them in terms of something like this, for example. If you don't know the background, if you don't know the history, again, it's an unfortunate memorial for Kalina Green. A young person in the community passed away, and the family felt that the best way to memorialize and to keep their spirit alive was to sort of do this type of fundraiser. Now, if you're wondering what it was in regards to, let me check here. Sorry, just off the top of my head.
I can take this one away because I actually have that right in front of me. So what they're actually doing is they are looking to raise funds for Carberry's future splash park. They are accepting donations at the memorial event. You can do it by e-transfer, you can write a check, or you can even send it to the town of Carberry. And let me just say, I can't say the T word. Tragedy brings out beautiful circumstances, and it's just so nice to see people turning a sad event into something that helps the community and something that people can look forward to go remember their loved ones and participate in.
Now, it's going to be happening on May 24th, a little later this month. Last year, Casper went down there, was able to get some pictures and some information from that. The weather wasn't exactly, if you look at the pictures, you'll see it was a little overcast, a little rainy, a little cold. God, if we could get a little rain now, that would be wonderful, but hopefully not on 24th of May, because we don't want it to sort of rain on that parade in essence. If you're able to support in any way, shape, or form, we do hope that you will be able to do something like that, because it is wonderful to see a community come together and to be able to support something of value. So you can find that story, as we did say, on page 2. Something similar along those lines, maybe not really slight the same, but in that same ballpark, as it were, is a story you got, Josh, about the Little Valley Jamboree.
Oh, yes, the Little Valley Jamboree. I learned in this story that the Little Valley Jamboree has actually been going on for nearly 30 years, which is impressive. So basically, the Little Valley Jamboree is a volunteer-run festival taking place this year on June 13th in Erickson, Manitoba, and the festival actually serves as a music festival to raise awareness, support, and raise funds for children living with special needs in the area. So this year, there are 3 wonderful beneficiaries. We have Jacob from Neepawa, we have Brooks from Souris, and we have Odin, who hails from Brandon. So 3 great kids and great families who are just looking for support, and it's a wonderful, wonderful way to go out and help local families within our communities. Now, they do have a great slate of music for their 2-day festival, including Red River Métis musician Mitchell McCoons, repeat Little Valley Jamboree performers, the new Highway 25 repaved. They have a bluegrass and country trio band, the Stephen Smith Trio, as well as 80s pop and party band, the Clubbing Fraggles. Let me tell you, I've caught them in Brandon quite a few times, and they are an absolute wonderful party band. So an absolute show going on in Erickson on June 13th. And the festival has a bunch of kids' activities. They have a silent auction, they have a live auction, they have food and drinks. It's everything. So just a really great way to help out local people from our community.
That's right. And now that we're done with the hard sell, let's get into this here. It's wonderful to see that an entertainment aspect such as this sees value behind the dollars and the cents. There's so many festivals that go on that could just, okay, we're going to bring them in, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and then we're going to count our money at the end of the weekend, and then that's it. But they see value in giving back. That's the special difference between Little Valley Jamboree and others out there. It's because they want to give to the community in multiple ways. They want to give in terms of entertainment, in terms of music, in terms of the experience, but then they are giving to these types of families here. You don't really see that many other places, so it's kudos to them for being able to do that, and to be able to do that for as long as they have.
And also a huge shout out for the bands for not only coming and performing. I know a lot of them have to travel, but these bands are doing it from the goodness of their heart. They are going there and they are performing for you at no charge to the festival, just to make sure that these kids can have a bright, happy, and healthy future. So just kudos to everyone involved. I remember I've been to one Little Valley Jamboree back in 2016, I believe, and it was such a good time. It was very fun, very lively, and just so many generous people. So just a great event.
If you want to get into something like that, you can find out a little bit more in this week's edition of the Banner Press. You can check it out online. If you do a Google search on Little Valley Jamboree, you'll be able to track down their website, probably track down their social media platforms. If you're into things like that, it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm not. Large crowds of people, for the most part, annoy the hell out of me. But if you're one of those ones that actually enjoys that, more power to you, and Godspeed. So we're going to be obviously talking about that when we get a little bit closer to it. Maybe we'll send somebody out there to get a little bit of video. Well, not video, because that's NATC TV's domain. We don't want to be infringing on them. But we'll get a couple stills maybe. We'll get a little information. I'm sure it's something we're going to be talking about much later down the line as well. We got a few minutes left, and there's so much we can talk about now that the weather has changed over, now that we're starting to think about getting out and about just a little bit more. in our communities and outside of our communities. Maybe you're not in the music. Maybe you're into sporting activities of those types of endeavors. And if you are, there's one that most likely is going to catch your eye. And of course, that's playing a nice round of golf. Maybe you enjoy it, maybe you hate it, but you continue to do it. Either way, maybe you're good at it, maybe you're like me and you're not. Either way, there's so many different options in and around Westman for you to go out and try a round of 9 or maybe a round of 18. And Josh, you're a bit into the golf, aren't you?
Yeah, I discovered that I liked golf in Winnipeg. I never had been on a course, but I have been golfing for about 3 years now. And let me tell you, it is game-changing. Am I good? Absolutely not. Do I have fun? Sometimes no, when I suck bad, but I still go out and do it, and it brings me some sense of joy. And one thing I'm really looking forward to this year is I have never golfed at the Neepawa golf course. I know, I was born here. It's not nice, but we're working on that.
The fact that he hasn't golfed here is not nice. We're not saying the Neepawa golf course is not nice.
No, the golf course is very beautiful. One of the best in the province, as far as I'm concerned.
Don't get led and take that off the bat there. They put a lot of work into that one.
A lot of pride and effort. And let me tell you, writing this article this week, I got to romp around the greens a little bit, and let me tell you, very, very pristine condition for it being May. So the Neepawa Golf and Country Club opened their doors on April 26th this year. They are just doing a little bit of renovations. They are in the middle of redoing their structure on the 6th green. They did have some issues with some underground drainage, so they will be working and making that going on. As well, they did the 18th tee box last year, and according to Mr. Cameron at the golf course, it is in pristine condition and very well wintered and ready to play, which is very exciting. As well, all the same leagues that are coming back from last year, especially their open Wednesday women's night, which they are building off of last year, and they are hoping for continued success this year. Just talking about the golf course makes me want to go out, honestly.
Well, yeah, and that's one thing we do take. Even if you're not a consistent golfer such as myself, it is still something that we in the community take a little bit of pride in that the Neepawa Golf and Country Club is so well regarded, not just within the community, not just in some of the outlying communities, but in the province. It has been home to several premier events on a provincial and even to a national basis over the years. And the reason that is because they take such good care of it. Every year we're doing stories about what little upgrades they're doing. He talked a little bit about the water there and the underground systems they got there that they're repairing. That's a story we did last year when they put in the new systems, talking about the improvements on the course. Every year they're doing just a little bit more to keep it up to snuff, keep it up to par. You see what I did there?
I did. I like it. And
yes.
I got to mention as well, as someone coming back to Neepawa, whenever I talk about golf with someone from not here, and then they'll be like, oh, where are you from? And then I'm like, oh, I'm from Neepawa. Then they're like, oh, that Neepawa golf course, it's so beautiful, which I agree. So it's a very popular course, not just for Neepawa, but it's a very well sought after one. And a lot of people from all over love coming to our little town and playing around, which gives massive economic dividends, I would assume, as well.
That's right. Now, if you ever get a chance, if you sort of like to little putter around with the game of golf, or
you're on fire with these puns.
I was trying to keep that one under the radar there. But if you like to, or if you're into it each and every day, each and every morning, each and every weekend, it doesn't matter. It's a wonderful activity. And it's a nice activity to be out and about. Nice weather, clear day, have a beverage or two. They don't have to be alcoholic beverages.
No.
But if they do, that's up to you. But be careful driving home. Be careful on that. So it's a lot of fun, and it's something that we are very, as I said, proud of. So if you want to learn a little bit more about that, about the Neepawa Golf and Country Club and what they've been able to do through the winter and what they're prepared to do for the spring and into the summer, you can find that on this week's sports page of the Banner Press.
Now, Eoin, continuing on with sports here, there is a very prominent Neepawa author that you had to, well, you didn't have to. You got the privilege and opportunity to interview about a new book pertaining to some local baseball.
That's right. If you are a consistent viewer of the story behind the stories, if you are a consistent reader of the Neepawa Banner Press, you are very familiar with the name Rick Sparling. Rick has chronicled Neepawa and area for well over 2 decades. If you are from the area and you know anything about our business history, if you know anything about our buildings in the community history, if you know anything about minor hockey, if you know anything about the Neepawa natives / Titans and their history, partially you owe thanks to Rick Sparling. He has written so many books about our community. He is from our area, he is from our community, and he still has loyalty and respect for our community. Even though he now resides in Winnipeg, he still consistently gets a copy of the Banner and Press sent to him to keep up with the exploits of his hometown. And he wants to continue to share the exploits of his hometown to those that are interested. And he's doing it with this new book. And it is covering a sport, I think, that is very much well regarded and loved in the area, is the game of baseball. The Santa Clara Baseball League, if you again consistently watch this program, is covered on NACTV. Neepawa Cubs home games are always covered on here. I believe as well that other teams in the circuit have their games broadcast as well through WCG. Uh-oh, I said the name of the competition, my bad. But some people do have it on there, so it's wonderful to see that type of support for it. And anytime I go to cover Cubs games as well, it's amazing the amount of people that are there in the crowd. It is still beloved and it's still well regarded. And Rick wanted to bring some of that history and bring it up to the next generations of baseball fans. So we did this book. It is called Manitoba Senior Baseball, South Central and Westman. So it covers 75 years of local baseball. And when I say local, I don't just mean Neepawa. I mean the entire surrounding area. So if you're from Plumas and you're interested in a little bit of the history of the Pirates out there, you're going to find it here. If you're in Minnedosa and you want to learn a little bit more of that Minnedosa Mavericks dynasty that existed about 10, 15 years ago in the Santa Clara League, you can find out a little bit about that too. It is so expansive. I got a chance to sit down with Rick face to face and talk to him about it. I got a chance to sort of flip through the book, a copy of it, and it was fascinating to see all the different pictures and all the different information of all the different leagues. And it's not just the Santa Clara Baseball League as well. It's also other leagues. One that I really liked and enjoyed attending when I first came here to Neepawa and covered it was the Manitoba Senior Baseball League, the unfortunately now defunct semi-pro league. Mm-hmm. They would bring in professionals and they'd have them in here. It was the old Neepawa Farmers baseball team. That was a really high level of baseball. Unfortunately, its time has passed, but it doesn't have to be forgotten. Not if you pick up a copy of this book. Rick put a lot of time, a lot of effort, about over a year, nearly a year and a half of work to get all the scraps and all the information and all the pictures together. This was an arduous process, but he was able to do it, and it's still something that he enjoys. This might be his last one. He has covered almost any category and any topic you can think of for Neepawa, so this might be it. And if it is, Rick, you're going out with a bang. You're going out with a round tripper, as it were. So this was definitely a home run, and we are very happy that you have been able to do this for so many years, and hopefully you'll be inspired to do a little bit more in the future. But if not, you did pretty darn good. So, anything? Let me throw to you, Josh. Anything else you want to throw in there?
So we were talking about the Manitoba Senior Baseball League, and I remember growing up going to farmers' games. My grandpa was just so big into baseball, and I would always go, and I was always very sad when that league was found defunct. But I'm just glad that there's still local baseball happening in Neepawa. I'm very excited to get out and see Cubs games, covering the SCBL in Portage. It feels like I'm right back at home. So just very glad to be able to continue watching some baseball and that we still have very good, high quality baseball in our community.
One last thing, we only got a couple minutes left in this week's edition of the program. We wanted to highlight one thing. This was a submitted article, but we still feel it's important enough that we do want to give it that spotlight. And it is something a little near and dear to your heart as well, isn't it, Josh?
Yeah, it actually absolutely is. So the NACI Hope Group is doing their spring drive. Now, I remember the Hope Group because I think, if I remember correctly, I was one of the original members when it started. I'm fairly sure, but I do remember going to some Wee Days when that was a thing before the Wee Day scandals happened, but we're not going to talk about that. We're focusing on the positive. So the Hope Group is doing a spring food drive. In April, the Neepawa Salvation Army Food Bank actually served 135 people, so around 59 households. So what they are going to be doing is on May 14th, the Hope Group will be going all around Neepawa and hanging bags on doors, which are supplied by the Neepawa Rotary Club, and they're asking the community to come contribute and donate food to the local food bank. You fill the bag, you leave it out on your step for when they collect it on May 20th, and all that food is just going to an absolutely amazing place. Maybe if your area got missed by a bag, you are encouraged to just go and drop it off directly to the Salvation Army. But what a great thing to see the youth in our community stepping up and helping with a very obvious need and doing very, very good work.
It's wonderful to be able to share those bits of information throughout the years, and it's wonderful to see that something that was started, in a sense, you were part of that work to begin with, continues to move on to that next generation. You're the old generation now, Josh. Deal with it.
Oh, that's scary. Don't tell me that.
That pretty much wraps up what we've got for this week's edition of The Story Behind the Stories. Always remember, if you have a few story suggestions for us, we always do appreciate it. You can always get in touch with us either by phone at 476-3401 or via email at news@neepawabanner.com. We're going to try and get anything and everything we can out there, but we need you to help us out from time to time, and it is always appreciated. So that pretty much wraps it up for this week. Josh, thank you very much for sitting us in and walking us through the week.
Yeah, it's a pleasure as always. I enjoy being in front of the camera, and I enjoy getting to make golf puns with you, Eoin.
And thank you. We're not here unless you're here. Always appreciate your support on NAC TV and in the pages of the Neepawa Banner Press. So until next time, have yourselves a wonderful week.